Pastor Mark Bёrns, we are delighted to welcome you here, and it is a great honor to meet you. Thank you so much for coming to Rome. We are delighted to welcome you back here in Europe. We all know about your mission of spiritual diplomacy. Please tell us a little more about this initiative and how you spread the idea of spiritual diplomacy here in the Vatican.
First of all, I would like to say to АЛЛАТРА and all the volunteers that you are doing amazing work to establish peace and spread humanity throughout the planet. Again, having worked with your wonderful president and your entire team on every continent I have visited, I can say that I see the same thing everywhere. You show nothing but love. Therefore, our joint work to promote the idea of spiritual diplomacy throughout the world means so much to me. I think ultimately you and I have the same message and the same mission, which is to help end wars and bring peace to every person, regardless of the color of their skin, regardless of their race or culture, or who they pray to, or their religion. Every person has the right to be free, and that is our mission. That is what spiritual diplomacy does. We do not carry weapons, we carry wisdom. We are able to act beyond the boundaries of convention in the name of faith. So when I speak to a Hindu healer, a Buddhist monk, an Islamic imam, or a Catholic priest, my goal is always to bring unity and peace. We call this quiet diplomacy. This is what politicians cannot do. I must strive to bring peace and stability to the regions of the world that suffer the most from war. That is spiritual diplomacy. It is not just talk. We do real work. As soon as we leave the Vatican, the beautiful Vatican, Rome, we will fly straight to Korea. There's a difficult situation for Mother Moon, and the Unification Church is being persecuted. Spiritual diplomacy is exactly what's needed here. President Trump will be there at the same time, and we will be there to help bring as much peace as possible. I pray for how much is being accomplished through the partnership with АЛЛАТРА, with this amazing organization and your wonderful volunteers from around the world. You are such an inspiration to me. I see the power of the volunteers and the love you all show for humanity, without expecting praise, without giving interviews, without hearing words of gratitude for your work. You are true unsung heroes, so we collaborate with you, and our message is spreading around the world. Also, Marina and the wonderful work she does. I thank her from the bottom of my heart, because I had the opportunity to spend time with your wonderful president, and the kindness she shows behind the scenes, in front of the camera, and behind it is aimed at one thing. It's all for the mission and the mission alone. So I know that if we continue our work, we will achieve the goal of establishing peace throughout the world. Thank you very much for your words of encouragement to volunteer АЛЛАТРА and for sharing your plans for traveling to different countries on a spiritual diplomacy mission. I would also like to ask you about the Summit of World Leaders of Change. What are your expectations for this event? It is taking place in the Vatican, at the Pontifical Academy of Sciences. Do you have any special expectations? After all, the event is taking place in a holy place. It is an interreligious event, and again, I want to express special gratitude to Professor Andriola for the invitation to participate in this wonderful event, the 10th Annual Summit of World Leaders of Change, which, as you said, brought together world leaders. Leaders of the world peace movement, holding various positions, gathered together to discuss how to move the process forward and how we can continue to cooperate. And it is wonderful that we have gathered in such a spiritual place as the Vatican. It is one of the main world centers of Christianity, and not only Christianity. People of all religions come here to honor and respect the Catholic Church, the largest Christian church in the world. So, to be able to collaborate with such a wonderful organization and have the opportunity to speak at such a sacred place as the Pontifical Academy of Sciences is a tremendous honor. I'm very proud to be one of the speakers, but again, this is just a sign of what АЛЛАТRА is doing. You guys are at the epicenter of establishing world peace and uniting world leaders. And this is just the beginning, because we still have much work to do. I'm looking forward to the upcoming event in Washington. I know you'll ask about it. We have a government shutdown, so we had to reschedule the event. I pray that we can gather representatives of both parties, Democrats and Republicans, in Washington so that the government can resume. And then world leaders will gather again on Capitol Hill to hear about the partnership with АЛЛАТРА and the wonderful things you guys are doing to bring peace and to talk about spiritual diplomacy. I have this wonderful lapel pin that everyone is talking about. Everyone wants one. So you have to work, you have to do what you guys are doing. Each of you is a spiritual diplomat, and you deserve spiritual diplomacy pins. Yes, that's right. Seeing the smiles on the faces of those who are mistreated, seeing how you seek ways to bring justice to them. And at the same time, seeing your hands tied as volunteers, it's deeply moving. Professor Andreoli will also be speaking at the upcoming conference. Yes, he will. He accepted the invitation and is very happy to be coming. We will have people there from all over the world. The professor will be coming in person, and tomorrow we will be presenting him with an award. He already knows this, but we'll give him a special award for being a truly exceptional spiritual diplomat, for organizing such a grand event and allowing us to be a part of it, for giving us access to places most people can't go, so we can preach the gospel, spread the word of truth and peace, and help people come together to do great things and help each other. Thank you so much for sharing this. We understand that spiritual diplomacy involves unity. How can you explain this to ordinary people? A spiritual diplomat is any believer who prays for their political leaders, regardless of what country they come from. If you actively pray for spiritual or political leaders in your country and do everything you can to ensure that political leaders benefit their people, remember that the power they wield is meant to help the people they're entrusted to lead, not to suppress them. Not to boss them around, mistreat them, or abuse their power. But to use that power to improve people's lives. So, if you pray for your faith and are among those who actively pray for their political leaders, then you are a spiritual diplomat, and we want you to be part of what we do. Our website is spiritualdiplomats.org. There you can learn how to become a spiritual diplomat, and, of course, we will definitely give you a badge. We had them specially commissioned, but it's simply a symbol showing the world that you are an active person, that is, a person of faith. But at the same time, you are politically oriented, helping to bring peace and reminding elected officials that they should not abuse their power, but use it for the good of the people, lift them out of poverty and adversity, and serve them. After all, politicians came to serve, not to be served by the people they were elected to serve. Excellent message. Thank you for sharing. How do you see the future of the spiritual diplomacy mission? How can it develop, and how can anyone become a spiritual diplomat? I foresee the mission growing. We've only just begun our work, but we've already embraced nearly every religion. Not a single religion has rejected the idea of spiritual diplomacy. Not a single person I've spoken to, regardless of their religion, has rejected the idea of what we're doing. We're building a network of men and women of all faiths so we can communicate where governments can't, go where agreements between countries prevent, and hold conversations on both sides of the fence, where adversaries are pointing guns at each other. We, spiritual diplomats, can practice quiet diplomacy. As a pastor, I can speak with an Islamic imam and conduct this conversation based on faith, while bypassing the media's narrative. The media is dangerous, extremely dangerous. The media is part of the problem. The media presents information one-sidedly, has its own agenda, and pits people against each other. But we, people of faith, can bypass the media's narrative and communicate directly with each other. And we can see what's really being said and what's really happening. That's exactly what happened in Ukraine. I was able to establish communication without the media and the lies they broadcast. And I realized what was true. When I spoke with Jewish rabbis in Ukraine, with the chief rabbi of Ukraine, I discovered that what was being said in the media didn't correspond to the real situation on the ground. Therefore, I believe our mission will continue to evolve. More and more people are realizing that politics kills people and hurts them. Whether you live in Sudan, Somalia, South or North Korea, politics kills people because the media is used as a weapon. But for those of us who act in faith, for those of us who act in the world, for those of us who have no other agenda than to help those most in need, as Paul said in the Bible, so that they will rise from the ashes, so that those most in need will have food and a roof over their heads, so that, regardless of their education, race, color, creed, and religion, they will have an advocate who will fight for them and ensure that they live in peace and harmony. That is who we are fighting for, and that is the majority of us. That is what the hearts of most of us beat for. A few politicians who hoard all the money do not care about ordinary men and ordinary women. And so, all over the world, they use faith and religion. They pit Christians against Muslims, Muslims against Christians, Christians against Jews, Jews against Muslims. And they keep us in this cycle of hatred against each other. But there's an understanding that most of us, if not all, want the same thing. We may conduct services differently, speak differently, look differently, and profess our faith differently. And that's okay. But that doesn't stop us from loving each other and uniting around a common foundation of peace and prosperity for all men and women. While moving beyond what divides us and embracing what unites us. I see this process growing exponentially. How can you become a spiritual diplomat? Visit spiritualdiplomats.org. There you can find all the information about spiritual diplomacy and the wonderful work АЛЛАТРА does. We're all part of this process. We do it together. It's teamwork. Marina and the other members of the team, thousands of volunteers around the world, promote the message of peace and love without any desire for recognition. That's the essence of our mission. Most politicians are willing to do beautiful things just for recognition. We work. Whether we receive praise or not, our reward is to see those who suffer most prosper in different countries around the world. And that is our goal. So, there is the website spiritualdiplomats.org. If you want to act in a spirit of faith, interreligious cooperation, and tolerance, and you pray for politicians, and you are politically oriented, knowing that the laws of the country where you live can be the cause of injustice, we want you to join the core of our spiritual diplomats and help spread this message throughout the world. I truly foresee the growth of this mission and believe that we can surpass any political party in the world, because people can unite in faith, and that is the most important thing. Thank you so much for your words. Indeed, АЛЛАТРА volunteers around the world also spread universal human values, disseminate information about human rights, and perhaps they don't even realize that we are already spiritual diplomats because we raise awareness of these important issues. You are certainly right. Listen, I tell every volunteer, you too are now spiritual diplomats. So you too should get a lapel pin like this and wear it with pride. After all, you're telling the rest of the world, I stand for peace, prosperity, love. I stand for religious tolerance. And I must support my brother and sister and never belittle them. Quote. If you're watching this video and are an АЛЛАТRA volunteer, then yes, you are a spiritual diplomat. Thank you very much for the inspiration. A few words about the events we're currently attending. Professor Andreoli published a book, Quantum Technologies, Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Humanity. In your opinion, how can the topic of artificial intelligence and moral aspects be combined, and what role does the Vatican play in this? It's crucial to have a moral compass when it comes to artificial intelligence or emerging technologies. Because without a moral compass, technologies are created that are controlled by people who lack moral compass. As a result, this can lead to corruption and imbalances. When the poor do all the work, and only a few rich people get the rewards, it's impossible. But when there's a moral compass and more people of faith are involved in the technology involved, then that same technology can be used to build houses. It can be used to create better farms. It can be used to feed people and provide assistance to people around the world at a very low cost. When there are people with a clear moral compass, like Professor Andreoli and others, who are using artificial intelligence, we should be involved. Again, if we don't participate, then only a few rich and corrupt people will be able to benefit from such technologies, and they will use them only to benefit themselves, not everyone else. So it's crucial that we do this here in the Vatican, in Rome. What the professor is doing is crucial for bringing a moral compass to artificial intelligence, when church fathers and people of faith discuss these issues. If we engage in this process as people of faith with a strong moral compass, we can use this technology not to destroy or diminish people, but to elevate them. Thank you so much for your compelling words. It is truly an honor for us, the volunteers of the *ALLATRA movement, to communicate, collaborate, and befriend you. What would you like to wish for our viewers? Once again, I appeal to everyone watching this video. I am telling you this right here and now. Everyone watching, listen, this is just the beginning. *ALLATRA is already a tremendous force in itself. *ALLATRA is magnificent in itself. But God brought us together to use me as a megaphone to sound as loud as possible and tell the whole world what God is doing when we collaborate. Amazing things will happen, and you are part of this process, so don't hesitate. I've said this before. Don't wear yourself out and don't be discouraged, because we have more lives to save. We have more people to feed. We need to achieve justice where there is injustice. We need to free more people from prison, and only you and you alone. Wherever you are, no matter how small you think you are not small. You are part of a single grain. We need you. When there are many grains, there is great strength. You may think you are just a part of the grain, but no, you are part of a greater whole. When all the grains are put into one bowl, we become one force. That is exactly what is happening right now when we work together. You are part of this grain. And there is still much evil that we must overcome together.